What up? Salvador Briggman here. Welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. On this show, we talk about crowdfunding and really get to the meat of how do you actually launch a successful campaign. We are different from every single podcast that's out there because not only do we bring on real-world entrepreneurs that are in the trenches right now, raising money successfully with crowdfunding, but we have literally the most committed team of listeners who are dedicated to taking action. If you're listening to this show, not only are you taking action when it comes to actually upgrading your education, investing time in doing that, understanding the tactics that go into crowdfunding, but more often than not, you're also willing to take action. And that's a great example of today's podcast guest, actually. Today's podcast guest was able to raise over $126,000 on Kickstarter with an incredible crowdfunding campaign for a high-precision industrial 6-axis mini robot arm. My gosh, robotics are literally taking over the planet, and it's one of the most hot areas, one of the most hot niches or industries which you can be in. But it doesn't matter what industry you're in, whether you're in, you're launching a new product, for example, a new backpacking or a new kind of tool or some sort, an EDC, everyday carry, or a new gadget or a gizmo, or you're creating a new book, or even raising money for a tabletop game or a card game. It doesn't matter because on this show, we've brought so many different success stories and examples together. You can go listen to different archives, the different episodes that are out there. Literally, I'm telling you, you will find someone that you resonate with. So when you listen to today's story, not only should you listen to what this individual did to get funding, but they also pull back the curtain and are incredibly transparent with what you have to do to design, create, and make an exceptional product. So I think you're going to learn a lot in today's episode when it comes to creating a product, when it comes to engineering, when it comes to how do you get funding, all of these different key topics, but also the fact that anyone out there can do this. And I think that even if you have a really ambitious or big goal, this is one of the ways which you can get it out there. You can have other people actually fund this idea or fund this campaign and really partner with you. They become a co-collaborator. You're creating this together and they're really viewing that unfold. And in that way, it's different than so many other types of getting a product out there, whether it's like Amazon or drop shipping or all these kind of BS things, right? You are actually creating a brand from scratch, and you're doing that with the people who want this to exist in the world. So first of all, if you really want to get the playbook behind this, I also have a great resource out there for you, and Audible is doing this incredible promotion. You can actually get a free copy of my best-selling book, The Kickstarter Launch Formula. And this is really the paint-by-numbers formula, the turnkey solution to be able to raise money with a crowdfunding campaign. Everything that you need to know that goes into it, all the tactics, the strategy, the step-by-step, the resources which you should use that can help you supercharge your campaign. You can actually grab a free copy of this right now on Audible. And I read it with my passion, my enthusiasm, and I'm telling you, you are going to love this book. So go and check it out at crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter audio. That link is crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter audio, crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter audio. And if you're like, Sal, I'm not yet ready to invest in my education. I'm not ready to get a new book from my library. I'm just kind of browsing around, just kind of figuring out, is this even something I should be discovering? I totally understand because I was kind of there at one point as well. Back in 2012, when I first got started in this industry, I was so skeptical. I couldn't believe that these campaigns were getting 6 and 7 figures. I couldn't believe that everyday ordinary people could actually raise money with crowdfunding. And it's almost kind of embarrassing to admit it, but I was as skeptical as you are. So if you just kind of want to be a fly on a wall for this episode, I think one of the great resources that you can actually check out is one of my free newsletters, which I put out every single week, where I share with you the things that are working, the tidbits, the resources, the tools that I'm discovering, the cutting edge, if you will, when it comes to crowdfunding. And if you really want to see what's working right now to drive funding to these campaigns, what's happening behind the scenes, and sort of the secrets, if you will, that go into a successful crowdfunding campaign, go and check out this newsletter at crowdcrux.com/newsletter. That link is crowdcrux.com/newsletter, crowdcrux.com/newsletter. It is a free newsletter. Just enter your name and email, and you'll begin getting some powerful and informative emails from me. Okay, guys, let's get into today's podcast episode and discover how this individual was able to raise over $126,000 on Kickstarter for a high-precision industrial mini robot arm, and it's coming up in just a second. Hey guys, welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. Today we are here with a two-time Kickstarter success story with their first campaign having raised over $300K on Kickstarter, and they are currently live, having already hit the six-figure number for Haro 380, a high-precision industrial six-axis mini robot arm. And we are lucky enough to have a member of the team here today. Min, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Albert. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here today.
Definitely. Maybe we can begin by you just kind of telling the listeners a bit more about this project, which you've been working on, and the product as well.
Right. So for this Haro 380 is our second product launch on Kickstarter. It is a industrial level desktop six-axis robotic arm. Primarily, it was designed for a tool that can be used for developers and students who really want to explore deeper into the world of robotics. So that its performance, we rank it as kind of higher among most of the desktop robots that allow it for more advanced applications.
And what would a student or someone who's enthusiastic about the robotics, how would they use this arm?
Yes, by looking at the Haro 380, it's very like a industrial robotics, which is looking different comparing to the collaborative robots, which is a kind of a more organic looking robot arm. You can find it on the website. For us, this product is not only looking like an industrial robot, its performance and its structure will be exactly the same, but indeed, it's a minimized version. Therefore, for example, there's a hot topic of smart factory, factory 4.0, but to validate your idea of a big factory, you have to make a workable model. And for example, for that purpose, Haro 380 could be a good fit.
Very cool, very cool. And what is your role when it comes to the campaign and the company?
Right, so I'm the general manager of the team. At this stage, that was back to 2 years ago, and the team selected me, which is an honor, and thanks to them. And I, at this stage, for the campaign, and mainly do the overall promotion as well as the industrial design of this product.
So you're helping with design, and then you're also helping with promotion and the product, right?
Yes.
Got it. So, I mean, you did one campaign, right? What was that like? Because I mean, you really knocked it out of the park, right? With this first campaign here. Were you a part of that process, or was that after? Were you part of that one?
Oh yes, I joined in the team from the first day of setup. So back to that time of the first product, the MirrorBot, that was really a critical stage as whether we are making a decision whether we should step into the robotics education for a higher educational institution like universities or not. So to validate that idea, we decided to find a more effective way that we can receive the feedback within months. Therefore, the Kickstarter platform is a huge success, not only to gain the initial funding, but really help us to validate this market.
What was going through your mind when that campaign finally closed and like you'd really hit your goal? I mean, you went more than your goal, 10 times your goal. Like what was going through your mind at that point in time?
So back was that time, there's not really a team around us that could give us any real experience about crowdfunding online. We are the first one to step in. So there are critics about, to be honest, for the amount of the money we sell on for the MirrorBot later, you will find it's like 4 times more than we did the reward price on the Kickstarter funding for the MirrorBot. The reason was we were selling a price lower than what we would cost to make it. Mm-hmm. And therefore, we were not expect to raise a big amount. I mean, we as long as we could afford that kind of unbalanced spreadsheet, we'd like to validate that idea. But later, we found it's a success more than we expected, and we really put everything we could, including reduced our salary funding to ensure that we deliver the rewards to everyone.
Yeah, that just shows just a tremendous amount of commitment, right, to your vision for sure. So you have one success, and then you guys are out there as a company, operating. You decide to come back to Kickstarter. What made you decide to come back to the platform?
Yes. So for the Howler 380, actually is targeted to a more niche market user group. And for that is a little bit beyond what we have known so far of this market. Actually, we're thinking it could be a good tool for technical school, which they're always seeking for creative, workable tools. And it also could be a good tool for scientists who want to do some validation of their robots ideas. But honestly, those are the people it's very hard to approach to. We even use an email or you call them or you drop in, before they saw your solid product, they cannot give you some really solid feedback about that. Therefore, we think Kickstarter is still the best performance to do this, to find our potential clients.
So in gearing up to a campaign, like what are some of the things you have to do behind the scenes to get ready for that? How long does it take from like deciding that and then getting a campaign ready? Like what are some of the steps involved there?
Yes. So before we decide to do the Kickstarter crowdfunding campaign, that was about 1 year prior our actual launch. During those 12 months, we have to ensure that by the day of our launch, 3 months before we launch, we need to have a workable piece of equipment, at least one piece. Eventually, we got 4, which is lucky enough. And then 3 months before the Kickstarter crowdfunding, we should have to reach out to find the team to make the video. At the same time, by setting up the scene to shooting those performance, like how you display the products, we have to set up ourselves. So there's definitely a mind storming stage for the whole team that we need to rise up like 10 sets that we need to do to shoot. And for the team to come to shoot, that will take a month for them to down the post, shooting, editing as well. Therefore, I would just say, have the idea of launch a Kickstarter crowdfunding. We have made it 1 year prior to this, and we have spent 3 months for the preparation.
Got it. So you've been in the works for a while. For you, you personally managing this entire project, I mean, hats off to you. Like that's a lot of work, right? What did it feel like the day before you went live? What was kind of going through your mind? What were you feeling the day before you went live?
Oh, so before the launch, we have posted on our social media platform as well as some other channels that as long as we could reach to. But honestly speaking, compared to the Mirrorbot project, we did have a feeling that the niche market isn't like a niche market or niche market. Therefore, we were kind of doubt about whether will be people would support us at all during this new campaign. But luckily, from the first day, we have reached a figure more than our like a minimum amount we want to fund it. Honestly speaking, we think to make it feasible and allow us to have the minimum amount of money to raise this project, we hope to raise more than $50,000. But we have achieved that in the first day, and that's kind of relief. So after that, we are so excited and just want people to come and visit us more.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a huge milestone. Like, what is that like? I mean, you think about it, you go live and like, it's like kind of exciting, kind of nerve wracking. Like, do people just start backing it and like you start getting notifications or like, what is that experience like?
Well, I would say from the first day, I mean, the first 6 hours of the launch, we launched like a noon time. It's like the whole afternoon, I was staying in front of the PC and look at the figure. That's one of the major thing I did.
And this is at your office, I assume, or
yeah,
you guys
office.
Yeah.
We are in New Jersey, and our location is Hackensack. So that's our studio, where our studio located.
Got it. So you guys are in the office kind of watching and I assume just like, experiencing that.
Oh, yes. So I remembered back to the Mirrorbot project. It's about the same thing. I mean, we were not familiar with the crowdfunding back in that time. So all the team members were crowded in front of a single computer and just look at the figure, how it's increasing the first hour. For the second project, I would just say they are kind of a little bit, they are sure that they will be figure increase, but they are kind of worried that it's not increased good enough. Therefore, there's about just a half of the team there to see through directly in front of the easy. For the rest of the kind of waiting up to send a short message of how much we have run so far.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I think it's a huge testament to the work you put in up until that point in time, right? Because without the product, without all the campaign, without the video, you wouldn't be able to get there.
Absolutely. I think for every one of the team members, they have assuming that to shooting videos for this product and how to express that to the audience is pretty challenging as well, because there's not much that we can learn from most of the products, and you have to think from the scratch. And how would people really give feedback whether you have done a good job or not? This is really another part of the feedback we are looking forward. Therefore, the nerve is definitely spreading in the first few days. But after that, everyone's focused on, okay, we have sold so far. We need to meet our permission. We need to ensure that we can deliver on time. And it's not been mass manufactured yet. So everyone now, they are just silent working.
So when it comes to that, for someone who's listening, like they're like, gosh, that just sounds so cool, right? Do you have any tips so that someone else can maybe experience the same thing? Or like, how would you say to someone else to really well position their campaign and make sure they have a good first day or two?
There will be generally two suggestions. The first one is I have a feeling that on the Kickstarter crowdfunding, so most of the users would be hobbyists and innovators. Therefore, first of all, you need to make the whole project active and engaging and interesting. Therefore, compared to what we do, say, for promotion on a exhibition, on the expo, that's kind of a formal, and maybe you mostly attracting to the superintendents of the school, for example. It's a different thing. You have to tell the story from people who would be interested in this topic and perhaps would pursue a career about it. So that is one thing the style would be more targeting to the people who would be interested and attracted by it. And secondly, I would say by express the performance of or some special points of the product, it's really have to be distinct. Spotted on from the first second. There are just so many products nowadays. Even in a niche market, there are similar. I would say there are the products with a similar name. You have to figure out what's the best part to describe your project compared to others. And for that, it can be your key promotion words. And for that, we have done a pretty long time to searching and getting feedback. It's just a simple word, 1 or 2 words in total, but that will take very long time to figure it out.
If you're worried about the fulfillment and shipping part of your Kickstarter campaign when it comes to getting out all those perks and rewards to your backers, rest assured, I've put together a complete Kickstarter fulfillment and shipping checklist for you, and it's free. This is sponsored by the folks at Fulfillrite, and they thought that you should have this checklist as part of your arsenal going into a crowdfunding campaign. If you want to get instant access to this checklist, and it's free, you can go to fulfillrite.com/checklist. Again, that is fulfillrite.com/checklist, fulfillrite.com/checklist. Just go to that link and you can download it immediately. When it comes to your background, you mentioned about design. So are you like designing the look and the feel of the product, or what did you mean by that?
There are definitely a team behind me to do everything, wrap it up. But yes, I majored in architecture, which is a design career. And after that, in this team, I also do the industrial design participating in the industrial design for most of the projects. And for the Howard 380, we have an initial idea to make it as a blended feel of looking, with not only have the structure looking of industrial robot, but also could have some sense of a workable tool and portable tool for the people in the future scenario, working scenarios. Therefore, by look at it, you have some sense of a futuristic feeling about it, some sci-fi feeling about it, and that's really something we want people to experience.
It feels very intentionally designed, and it looks really cool as well, right? And I think it's also something where to create something like that, most people look at that and like, gosh, I can't believe that someone actually made that, Do you have any thoughts or tips for people that are trying to design nice looking, unique, great products? Any things that you've learned in your career that you want to pass on?
Yes, for specifically for this Hara 380, wow. So look back, we have more than 3 rounds of the conceptual drawing of this product. I still can recall that from the first round, we want to keep the overall spend on the CNC machinery, which means that the whole body was made by metal. And the tricky thing is the more curvy it looks, more curves to put on, the more expensive it could be. And that part of the spend not really increase the performance. It just increase the aesthetic feeling. So we want to minimize that in the first division. And you can find on the SketchUp books that we posted online under our page. It's really straightforward. It's not a lot of the fancy details, but it gave a huge critic from our potential backers. Therefore, we have to went back to the first day and to redo it again and again until we find a sense that it have a great balance between the spend and the performance and the looking.
That's so interesting because I think a lot of people, when they're thinking about creativity and design, they're not thinking that you also have to go through and look at the different variables that go into making it, right? Or that, like, some people think you're just going to design it and then that's going to be the product, but it's like it goes through a lot of iterations, right, in that process.
Yeah, it's so true. So I recall the experience that as I worked with the industrial design team, which is the team with me. I would just say the time we spent on looking for the workable overall style of the product would be it's about counting about 50%, like half of the time of the overall time we spend on the finalized the design. It was the period that people won't see the outcome. I mean, people around you cannot see what you're actually doing. So they kind of give you pressures. You haven't got a visible looking yet, but within the team, there are like hundreds of drawings or hundreds of ideas posted on the ping board. And we're kind of struggling to find the right way.
What made you passionate about that? Out of curiosity. So like, I think a lot of people gravitate to different things, right? When it comes to making a product, whether that's marketing or engineering, or in your case, design, like, why is that something that you've always been passionate about?
So I would say from a young age, my parents lead me to the art drawing class. And that was one of the best class that I have attended so far. And I have a feeling that I'm really interested in creating something new. And creating something new is not easy. As the past years have taught me. For example, there are so many talented people in the arts industry as well as in architectural design industry. You will always have a huge competition. I mean, for the architecture design, eventually only one design will win up, and they will beat up like 10, even 100 competitors. And therefore, when the hobbies become your career, when enjoy yourself become like the medium low ranked priority, then how you ensure this product or this design can win overall and it has to be workable when you search in terms of industrial design, have to be workable regarding to the cost and the performance, that become your priority. And for that point of view, I would just say to working in a growing market or is a new industry is another fundamental pushing factor to myself. Therefore, when I step from the architecture to the robotics, I would say it's because I feel it's a new industry and there are not a huge number of successful products there. That means it's a big area that, like a generation like us could step into. That's like a very young, like in my 20s, how I made my decision. It's like, that's opportunity to step in.
So, I mean, it's been incredible. You've been able to design the first campaign. You've been able to design the product for the second campaign. And I'm sure you've learned a lot, from each of them. We talked about the first one. From the second campaign, are there any key takeaways or new things that you feel like you learned with this one?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So comparing to the first Kickstarter crowdfunding of the MirrorBots, I would just say backwards on that time, we didn't spend a lot. On learning, or even to spending a lot of the learning time on how we can optimize the promotion. Backwards on that time, I think what we did really spend a limited amount of the advertisement fee, and then we mostly just wait and see. And that was the time. There are not a lot of engineering, design engineering, robotics, or like high tech products being launched so far back in that time. So yours would be very easy to be spot on. And for the second promotion of our products, before the launch, we've been observing online, searching online, you will find there like items, new projects launched every day, and all of them looks amazing. Therefore, definitely the advertisement fee, which like the percentage of spend over the whole budget, will have to be increased a bit, but still you really have to spend it wisely. Compared to the first one, we just spend as what it could be. And the second one, we really target to the niche market. And the learning curve forced us to be more specific to express the terms we use when we talk about this project. And that is a learning curve thing, and you have spent time on it.
Yeah, I think that's a huge realization too, because you don't really know like the first time you do it, like how it's going to work, right? So then the second time around, it sounds like you were smarter, you were more efficient with your marketing spend, and you just kind of put a little bit more analysis right behind it.
Yes, we have to. We have been aware that that's so important. I think many of the very successful projects on Kickstarter, they have an even better experience than us, but to the people who may do on themselves or a small team, I would just say spend a little bit more time on that. You will be benefit a lot.
Well said. Well said. What you've chosen to use your talent of design in a really unique and interesting way. What would you say overall is like the vision here? Is it to help teach more people and empower researchers? What do you say is the overall vision here?
So the overall vision for this product and also for our brand would be, we wanted to inspiring and empowering the people who wanted to integrate the robotics technology as well as the AI technology behind it and apply it to whatever they do, to their project, to their career. Therefore, the major vision for us would be reduce the entrance level difficulty for the robotics learning curve. Therefore, we set up the project like the Mirrorbot, which is like an introductive level product, and the Hero 380 is more like advanced tool. But overall, the coding, using it have to be very easy and allowing people to enter the door and express themselves.
Yeah, I think that's such a huge thing, and it's such a big trend now as well, right? When it comes to robotics and AI, and it's only going to get bigger. Like I can totally see a future where that's kind of like the mainstay, which is exciting and a little bit scary as well.
Well, for that, yes, I have heard people when recent days, there are a lot of people approaching to us thanks to this crowdfunding, and there are questions rising about, say, you are talking about the robots can be more advanced and the AI behind it really empowered it. How that future would be like? And I was thought, come on, guys, we are living on this earth and we just explore like 2% of the overall covering area. There are 98% we haven't discovered. And among the whole planet, there are different other planets, even the moon. We haven't been there yet. Come on. Therefore, I have to say the robots is like we have two hands and they are like the third hand. We have a major mind. They can be like assistant for us. They really extend our capability. So they probably could make every one of us like super powered, like a superhero. And I'm really excited to see how it can lead us to. So I'll just say the robots to me, I define it as a tool. Whatever clever it is, we could be on top of that. And they are just a huge map we haven't explored, and we work together to explore them more.
Well said. Well said. And on that note, where can people go to learn more about your campaign? Where can they go to learn more about your company also?
So we have a website, and we also have a Facebook and YouTube channels to launch all the new products and the information from us. And besides the product we do, we also currently setting up a academic WLKATA Academy. Sorry, do it again. So besides the Kickstarter crowdfunding we do so far, there are new projects like WLKATA Academy, which we are launching the free courses for users. And that is really what we also learned from the community. They want something beyond the product. Those are the resources that people who interested us could refer to, and hopefully they can learn more about what they really want to look for.
Okay. And just for those that are listening, it's WLKATA.com. That's your website, right? And then if you want to go on Kickstarter, you can look up Haro, Haro 380, and you'll come across the campaign.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on the show. My final question for you, and we can end on this note. We can either end with a word of encouragement. We can end with, for other creators that are out there, we could either end with a quote, a famous quote that you like or one that you enjoy, or a book recommendation, something that you recommend other people read, anything like that. And we can end on that note.
Okay. So overall, when I look back to our Kickstarter campaign, I would just say to us, it's definitely more than a figure that we raised. It's the success would be beyond the fundraising. And as a final note for every listener, I would just say, don't waste this precious chance to test your market availability during Kickstarter. That's the best chance you could get for a brand new product, and really rock on it.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. And good luck with your remaining 3 days.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. Again, my name is Salvador Briggman, and I hope that you took away from this episode that anyone out there can do this. If you have a grand vision, this is actually something that you can achieve. And it might not happen overnight, but you can actually take real steps towards achieving this goal. You can begin to climb the mountain, my friends. And there's a path in which you can follow that's the straightest path to success. So first of all, I do hope that you enjoyed today's podcast episode and you got a lot of education and learning out of it. It is a wonderful Wednesday at the time I'm recording this, with a beautiful sunny day here in Miami, Florida. And wherever you are, wherever you're hailing in, if you're listening to this on the way to work, if you're listening to this, for example, you're going to the gym or you're cleaning your room, whatever you're doing, I hope you take a second to really make a commitment after listening to this episode. And you make that commitment to actually move forward, to take the next step, to actually sink your teeth into a couple of more resources, or to be willing to commit some time either tonight after work or on the weekend to actually work on this project, to move it towards your dreams. This is what separates my community from every other community out there online of want-to-be entrepreneurs who aren't actually taking action and just kind of invested in the fantasy of being successful. You people are actually willing to take action, and that's what really makes up my community. So that's the first thing, and it would mean so much to me if you leave a positive rating and review on iTunes of this particular podcast. But in addition, I want us to leave you with a message. And I think that message to me is the number one thing that's kind of holding people back from not only getting funding, but also impacting the world. Getting validation on a new product, building a brand from scratch, getting this into the hands of people worldwide, so that way you can actually make a dent in the universe and make an impact on them. And I think that thing can really be summed up by what's holding you back at the end of the day is usually fear. And I think that emotion of being willing to push past some of those emotions and feelings that come up is such an incredibly valuable, disciplined skill set. And every single person that I've talked to on this show, and now we have over 300 podcast episodes, has told me that yes, they felt fear. Yes, they felt anxiety. Yes, they felt all of those emotions that you probably feel as well. The only difference was that they were willing to take action in the midst of those emotions. They were willing to step up and to ignore some of those feelings and actually push through for what it is that they actually wanted to achieve. And if that's something that you struggle with, if that's something that you feel like you need help with, and I think there's no embarrassment or shame in admitting that, that's also something that I love to help students with, because I've had so many different radical transformations that I have with my different students who have signed up with me over the years, whether that's launching Kickstarter campaigns, Indiegogo campaigns, equity crowdfunding campaigns, you name it. I've helped many people, hundreds of people be successful through my coaching sessions. So if you're interested in learning more about kind of what goes into that, this is basically an intensive coaching session where we go A to Z through your entire project, the strategy, give you feedback every step of the way, talk about what you need to do in order to be successful, the tangible points from here. And if you feel like you're one of those people that has that fire in the belly, but you're missing the plan, you're missing the execution, you're missing out maybe even some things are holding you back, some fear, we can address that and we can move past that in one of these intensive coaching sessions and really help you reach your full potential. So if you want to check that out, all you got to do is go to the link I'm about to mention, fill out some information when it comes to you, your project, what you're trying to accomplish, and we can get that call scheduled ASAP. All you got to do is go to this link at crowdcrux.com/coaching. That link is crowdcrux.com/coaching, crowdcrux.com/coaching. We'll take you there. Fill out that form. Tell me more about you, and we can get that call scheduled ASAP and help write you on track, help it so every element of your life is aligned to bringing this product out there, to smashing through your crowdfunding campaign goal and seeing success when it comes to this particular endeavor. Thank you so much for listening. If you did enjoy this morning dose of inspiration and also tips and advice, it would be incredible again if you leave a positive review on iTunes. But again, my name is Salvador Briggman. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time.